Hi, Dad. I read a book over the summer called Until Tuesday. In this book, there is a main character named Carlos Montalvan who fought in the Iraq War and is a war veteran. Unfortunately, when he returned from the war, he was plagued with PTSD, or post traumatic stress disorder, and his life was very hard until he met his dog Tuesday. His dog Tuesday helped him get through tough daily activities and helped Montalvan to be himself once again. Have you ever faced a problem or challenge in your life?
Yes, I had a major challenge as a child. I was originally born in Poland with my mother, my father, and my first brother. I was about 6 months old when we first moved to the US. My mother and father spoke Polish only. My older brother spoke Polish only, and I was learning to speak Polish only because my family couldn't speak English. We came to the US as an extremely poor family, but still we moved from Poland to New York. It was the land of opportunity. It was hard for my parents to get jobs, but they somehow managed to do so. They worked day and night. My mother became a seamstress in a sweatshop, and my father worked any job he could find. Initially, he worked as a janitor, and at night he would go to night school to learn English. He went through high school for foreigners and took advanced English class. He did this for 5 long years. He worked day, working his day job, and night learning English. He knew America was the land of opportunity and pushed himself to trade school to become an electrician. He graduated electrical school and applied for a government job and became an electrician. He worked for the post office. He went to a special school to train to be an electrician as an apprentice. I believe it was called journeyman training, and he was extremely good at his job. Most of the time, me and my brother were left under the care of my grandparents and also worked as janitors. They did not speak English, so for the first 5 to 7 years of my life in America, I spoke only Polish. There was no one available to watch us play in the streets with other kids. If I did, I would have picked up the language very quickly and learned to speak English, but I wasn't afforded the time in the street to play with my friends. Hard to believe I was 7 years in America and could only speak Polish. When I was 7 years old, my youngest brother Robert was born, and for him it was the easiest to learn the language. As life went on and I got older, it was very hard for me to learn English and go to school. It was hard for me to study for my tests, communicate with my friends, write, read, and just basically speak English in general. But as I got older, with my parents, my friends, began to learn English slowly and do good in school. I went to Our Lady of Angels for grammar and middle school. Then, afterwards, I went to Fort Hamilton High School. Finally, I graduated from the College of Staten Island with an electrical engineering degree. I made many friends throughout these years that helped me learn English, do great in school, and helped me support me with all my struggles. For example, when I was in Fort Hamilton, I was captain of the varsity soccer team, and I became an honor student and enrolled in all honor classes. Here, I had met some of the best friends of my life that were friends who remain with me till today. My best friend Eric was Polish, and he also played soccer with me. My other best friend, Chris, also came off the boat, just like me. He came over when he was 13 years old, so I really was his first introduction to the English language. He was lucky to have me. We got along very well, and we supported each other in everything we did. We worked together, played after school in sports, and went basically to school together and graduated together. When I was at Fort Hamilton, the schools weren't that great. There was a lot of criminal activity, a lot of drugs, and this thing called busing, where they bring in minorities from poorer schools in other sides of the city and bring them mostly to white schools in different areas. It wasn't a good situation for the kids at Fort Hamilton because most of these kids, bust kids, were angry and didn't like being bussed. They got into a lot of fights with us. I got through it and went on to graduate and go on to the College of Staten Island. I loved aquatic animals. I loved the water. I wanted to study and major in marine biology. But unfortunately, as life has its turns, I had a guidance counselor at Fort Hamilton who persuaded me not to become what I wanted to become, a marine biologist. He told me that he read in some journal that there would be no jobs as a marine biologist if I chose this career. I took his advice. Boy, was he wrong. Instead, I studied electrical engineering and I became a telecommunications designer engineer. Up until this day, I am still doing this job. I enjoy it every day, and it's been very good to me.
How long did it take you to learn English?
It took me a very long time because nobody spoke English in my house until my father and mother learned it, which took many, many years. Probably about 7 to 8 years. It was difficult, but with the help of my school, my friends, my family, my jobs, I worked as a paper boy and learned to speak to people when I was collecting money and distributing my route. I learned and eventually spoke the English language.
Who helped in learning English and getting through school?
It was mostly my family. My mother supported all three of us. My father was at home most of the time because he worked in the daytime, and at night he went to night school. The remaining time he had to sleep. When he was home, he taught us English as much as he could. He took the time out to dictate to us from the newspaper. We wrote his words on a blackboard. Another way I learned was my friends helped me learn English. They explained certain words that I didn't understand, and whenever I said something wrong, they corrected me and explained to me the right way to say it. They were the second major part of helping me learn English along with my family. Ironically, teachers were the last to teach me English, not because they didn't want to teach me, but because you had to know English in the class I enrolled in.
My dad's challenge in his life relates to Carlos Montalvan because my dad looked for support and help from his family and friends, just as Carlos Montalvan looked for support from his dog Tuesday. My dad's relationship to his family and friends is also very similar to the relationship of Montalvan and Tuesday. Thank you for listening to my podcast and hearing about my dad's life challenge.